There is no need to fear. You can't run very far. Curiosity's curse has brought you to our home of bizarre. Consider us your friends, or simply your humble guides, as we unlock those doors in which they attempt to disguise. Welcome to a world of ghosts and grays and end of days. Welcome to a house of magic and fairies, all occurring suspiciously close to the fictitious town of Derry. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are in the morning of my nicotine habit. Morning as in death of my nicotine habit. Mm-hmm. It's been 1 week of craziness, and I believe that all the weird that we'll get to soon that's happened in the past week all boils down to me quitting Skull.
Yes.
I am on some nasty corn silk, herbal, like talcum powder crap that.
But no nicotine.
It's no nicotine, no tobacco.
The thing that I think is funny about you is you are always like, I'm going to get off nicotine. I'm going to wean myself down. But you're not really a wiener.
Ah, thank you.
You know what I mean? Like you're more of a, if I'm going to quit, I'm just going to quit.
Yes.
And that's hard to do.
No, that's how I do everything.
And so over the past week, you were kind of like, you know, I'm going to have to do some nicotine. I'm like, please. Just one until, you know.
That's how I do diets. I will talk about doing a diet until the time comes when I'm just like, no, I'm going to lose weight, and I'll lose 30 pounds.
Right.
Now I'll gain it back just as easy.
But you can lose it if you want.
When I want, when it's time for playing time, I get in fight shape. And the same thing, you know, I've been addicted to various things in my life. And I have been able to get off of all of them, and even like alcohol, which I drank a lot, guys. I mean, come on, I was a pro wrestler. I was in a band. It's a prerequisite. Right. And I drank a lot.
But the nicotine was hard. You've been doing that a long time.
Been doing it a long time, but I did quit drinking cold turkey.
Yes, you did.
And the nicotine I've been doing since, I want to give an accurate date on it. I know it was 5th grade. It was the summer of 5th grade going into 6th grade.
Wow. You were young.
So I would have been 10
or 11.
10
or 11.
Something
like that.
That's when they let us buy it at the store. And I remember we didn't know if they would let us or not. So my friend Travis and I was too much of a sissy to go do it. So Travis went in the store, told me to turn around and act like an old man. And
I'm sure you fooled them.
Listen. This is a true story. This is the store I went and bought wrestling magazines at that was within walking distance of my grandmother's back before you get abducted.
Right.
Anyway, I was outside the, basically we were the kids from Stranger Things, same time period, everything. Right. So anyway, we were, I was standing outside the window, and of course the person in the convenience store could see me, and Travis was like, listen, I'll go in there and I'll tell him that you're my father and you're just feeling a little bit ill. So hunch over and just let him listen to your back of your head, and it'll work. So I did it, and I like pulled my shoulders in and leaned over like I'm sick, you know. I think I even coughed, you know, just to give it effect. Right. And he went in there and he came out with a can of Skull, and it was like I don't know, like we had a brick of cocaine. It was just like we smuggled it back to the woods that we played in all the time, the 7-acre woods. And we took it down there, and we had a couple of rocks that we talked to that would tell us things. We were weird kids. Right. Still weird, right? But no, we went down there and opened it up, and I remember we both took a dip. And it wasn't my first dip. My first dip was actually, was about 4, and my granddaddy gave me the dip, and I yacked all over the damn place. But
granddaddies do that. They think they're going to keep you from doing it. Like giving it to you, making you sick?
No, he wasn't thinking he was going to keep me from doing it.
Oh, no, he was just giving it to you.
I think he just wanted a buddy to watch NASCAR with and sit and share his skull can.
I gotcha.
So anyway, this was our first, bought one, and we got over the hill. We put it in, and man, we got so stoned. People have these bad experiences they want to talk about. And if it's a good drug or something, I'm not going to lie to you. We put it in and we sit there and we looked at clouds, like head to head, just like you'd see in some old movie or something. And we were like completely out of our minds high.
That's funny.
And we were addicted from then on.
Of course.
But yeah, I've had some good years with Skull. I can't say anything bad about you. You rotted my gums. You probably took about 10, 20 years off my life, but
probably
we had some good nights, and we listened to a lot of good music together. And, there was a lot of good times you've calmed me down leaving a store. And for that, Skull, I want to thank you. But now we're on to non-tobacco tobacco.
Right.
There's no nicotine, no tobacco. It's freaking corn silk. And there's a weird feeling about putting corn silk in your teeth on purpose, because it's normally something you use a Q-tip to get out of your teeth. Right. Not a Q-tip, Jesus.
I don't know how you floss your teeth,
if you live in Kentucky, you use a Q-tip to floss your teeth. But, outside of Kentucky, love you, Kentucky, but it's, sorry, not sorry. It's, interesting times, and so now I have this Herbal Snuff.
There you go.
Herbal Snuff.
It's all natural.
It is au natural, and it's Smoky Mountain Chew is the name. I'll give them a little bit. We should get them to sponsor the show. I've always said, no sponsors or anything, but maybe.
Yeah.
There
you go.
It's not like they're going to listen to it. We'll tell them we're putting something on the front of the show and be like, well, actually, we're sponsor free, like you're tobacco free. So we thought that would work really well.
Really? Yeah.
You're our sponsor, but we're not going to show you anywhere.
I mean, it's a pitch.
Yeah.
You could try it.
I just thought you said it's a bitch. I thought you were telling me what you were going to say to the Smoky Mountain rep, Smoky Mountain Snuff calls and it's just like, excuse me, Mrs. Edwards. We've noticed that our ads are not actually playing on your podcast. And you just kind of look at them and you're just, it's a bitch. I don't know. I can't actually hear you saying that to anybody in any situation.
No.
But, hey, other than that, the crazy this week that we normally monologue here at the first, all has made our own news.
Yes.
We actually made the news.
Yes. I'm so excited for us.
Give me a little fist bump.
Okay.
Little fist bump action. So we made our own news this week. If anybody is on our Facebook or on our Twitter, you already know this.
Or our YouTube channel.
Or our YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you're not, I'm really kind of ashamed that you're even listening right now, calling yourself a fan. Just to let you know where you could find that, it would be ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find everything Skull. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Not as much Skull. I don't think they allow it. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. God, I miss Skull. Instagram, Hot Skull Dam. John and Stacey Edwards. I need some nicotine. YouTube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. This just isn't the same without the nicotine. All right. But with all that out of the way, yes, on YouTube right now, we have a new video up. And that video occurred last night. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
We will.
So it's really nuts. So I had to do something. I was like, I can't monologue what's happened in our family.
No, it's weird.
Because it's top secret until you get to the news. So I've got some other stuff. I brought a few real world stories.
Oh, so you're like prepared.
Well, I'm always prepared. Okay. Unless we're in the backseat of a car. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare. Hopefully we can carry on. So this one's going to really wrench your gut.
Okay.
It's going to wrench your gut. Oh, by the way, everybody let me know what you think of the sound this week. We have the new $1 million microphones.
$1 million microphones.
And so we've got those. And next step is some more $1 million equipment. But we've got some really kick a booty microphones.
Yes.
Just depends if we're using the boards good or not. But other than that, we can't blame it on the microphones anymore.
No, no more.
So here's this. This is going to bother you, man. Okay. This is really
I'm so glad you're bringing it up then.
Well, I feel bad. Okay. I do. I really feel bad about this. Okay. Thousands of Dateline, Bangor, Maine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
local.
30 minutes.
Okay.
Thousands of rare first edition Stephen King books and manuscripts completely destroyed in a freak accident.
Oh my goodness.
A Stephen King enthusiast has just been struck a terrible blow. And by the way, I'm going to give some credit to Gizmodo here because I'm basically just reading this. But this just came out January 17th at 6:30 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
A Stephen King enthusiast has just been struck a terrible blow that a lot of other fans might feel once they hear the news. And one of those is across the table from me right now.
Oh my goodness.
A large portion of private collections of King's works, which included original typed manuscripts of Maximum Overdrive.
Oh my goodness.
And The Eyes of the Dragon, has been lost to an accident. Gerald Winters spent 20 years of his life traveling the world and collecting rare, invaluable pieces of King's literary work in hopes of one day opening up a small museum dedicated to the author's legacy. Last year, Winters packed up his life and collection and moved from Thailand to Bangor, Maine, where Stephen King calls home, to share his treasures with other fans. But this week, a freak flooding accident suddenly robbed the collector of thousands of first edition books, manuscripts, and a variety of other incredibly rare items that have come out of King's creative process. And before I continue, the freak flooding also affected us. And in one of the most tragic, but damn, it's cool because it's not our car ways.
No, I know.
We live right beside the river. We live really close to the ocean. We live everywhere. So anyway, the river here, it froze, but it flooded, and because we had a rapid snow melt.
Yeah, like it snowed a whole bunch, and then one day it was warm.
Well, it was the rain.
And it rained, and the snow melt at the same time.
Right.
Yes.
So it was a huge flood. It flooded over top the cars in the parking lot, and down below the businesses. Like, imagine these businesses on this main street, and down below back is where you park, and then there's the beautiful river scenery and a bridge to go to the other side. Okay, well, that bottom parking lot flooded all the way down. And then it froze.
Yes, because it got cold again immediately.
You don't understand how cold it is here, folks. So, yes, it froze that quick. And the cars are probably frozen solid until like March or April.
Like, you could just see the tops of the cars sticking out of the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it's so bad.
Back to our story. According to Bangor Daily News, a trusted news source in the parts of Bangor, the only news source in the parts of Bangor, the waters that flooded Winter's basement was the direct result of an exploded water main directly in front of the store. Now, here's where it gets weird, okay?
Okay.
It's very strange because I believe there's a curse. Now, we know of Stephen King and some of his things being cursed.
Right.
Okay, even him getting hit with a car, there's been a lot of nutty crap happen, even on the sets of some of his movies. Tell me if this doesn't sound like a curse.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go back just a tad.
Okay.
Just with the curse thing in your minds. Okay, folks at home, playing at home, here it goes. According to Bangor Daily News, the waters that flooded the Winter's basement was the result of an exploded water main directly in front of the store where the collection was stored. Soon after the main broke, Winter's basement was filled with water high enough to reach his chest, and the boxes containing the documents were ruined.
Oh, goodness.
Winters estimates that nearly 90% of the collection, which included signed works from J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin, was destroyed.
Oh, my goodness.
Under normal circumstances, the collection would have been stored safely in the upper levels of Winter's shop. But this happened to be the 1 week he decided to move most of the books to the basement while he was reorganizing.
Oh.
Understandably, he's going through a harsh period of mourning.
I would say.
Is what he told the Bangor Daily News with the one quote, "You can't replace this stuff." Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, anybody that lives in Maine knows you don't put valuable stuff in the basement.
Well, he just moved it from Tibet.
Yeah.
So he didn't know.
Yeah, and it's weird that he just had moved down there.
Did I say Taiwan or Tibet?
I think you said Tibet, but I don't remember.
It's a tea place. It wasn't here.
Yeah, it wasn't Maine.
Yeah.
But it's weird that he just moved it down there to reorganize. So it was probably only down there for a day or two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then boom, right in front of where it was.
He said this was his reorganizing week.
Oh, that's just tragic.
This 1 week. So he had these priceless artifacts. Let's call it what it is, sister. Priceless artifacts. Typed original copies.
Oh, it just, I can just feel his pain.
I mean, I'm not even familiar with Eyes of the Dragon. I know you have the book downstairs. And it's,
it's one of the more rare ones. I mean, I can't believe he had a typed manuscript.
Yeah, and I couldn't even believe that he typed a manuscript for Maximum Overdrive. That one I figured he just kind of told somebody and they went and made a shitty movie. But I love the movie.
I love that movie.
Everybody gives the movie crap.
I know.
Okay, so there's the Dysart's truck stop is actually here that inspired that. And we actually slowly drive by that place, creeping on it sometimes, just imagining the trucks taking over. And plus, one of the best soundtracks of all time, right?
Absolutely.
AC/DC, AC/DC with all the people that have died and gone away this past year with AC/DC, there is no tragedy worse than people making jokes about, they played the same song for 30, 40 years, but you know what?
People wanted to hear it for 30 to 40 years.
I think for me, I was always the one that was like, you know what? I don't want my favorite people to change. I don't want to hear Marilyn Manson doing country.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I want Marilyn Manson to do Marilyn Manson songs.
You know, all the people that say that, if they had done something that people wanted to see over and over again, they'd do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I never had a problem with that. I used to tell the guys in my band, they were like, because, bands are just morons right off the bat. We were too. So we had a song that played on radio called Time and Again. And it played on the radio because they had a local show.
Right.
So at the time, because we were kids, we all worked at a grocery store together. And so we were gods in there. I mean, we were gods.
Right.
And I was a stalker, and our song would hit the radio because that show came on like at 11 o'clock at night.
Right. And
there was my voice singing Time and Again. And like all the girls up front would just swoon, and all the guys would swoon. And I remember us talking in the back one night, and we used to sit in the back of a pickup truck and just talk about the band, and all the people that worked with us would hang out around the pickup truck because they would come to our shows. And there was like 8 people. Right. But to us, that was like our group, man. You know what I mean? Like that, like they worshiped
your entourage.
Us. Yeah. So we would sit around and talk about all these pompous things. And I remember us having this discussion about playing Time and Again and being like, now that it's on radio, I mean, I just don't know, man. It's getting kind of old. I mean, I don't think we should even play it at the shows. And that wasn't me saying that.
Right.
The other one said, well, I don't care. Troy then was like, it just feels like I've heard it and everybody wants to hear that one only. And I remember my response was like, look, if we ever have more than 13 people at a show and they want to hear that and sing that back to me, words that I wrote, I will play just that song 42 times in a row.
Just the whole show.
Yeah,
just that song.
Yeah. All right, folks, here's Time Again, take 3, And
now I'm going to do it in a Scottish accent.
Yeah. I never got that concept.
Right.
It's like, people write books, right? If you have the one book that really takes off and everybody loves that, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, as we have documented, has written my favorite literature, and it's hard because it's right there with Lord of the Rings. But honestly, Sherlock Holmes, I base so much of my life off Sherlock Holmes, and I think a lot like him. I've had a lot of the same struggles, and I love him. But Arthur Doyle hated the character and tried killing him off until his mom was like, Sherlock, or Arthur,
Yeah.
His mom made him bring him back. She's like, what are you doing, young man? And
how old do you think he was when
he was in his 40s.
When his mother made him?
He was in his 40s. But as we have discovered, you don't ever outgrow that.
No, that's true.
So his mom got really mad at him. So he brought him back, and but he always despised that character because he did other things. And I hate that. I hate that mentality. you know what? If we get well known because of our podcast and not because of the wrestling that I did, then, you know, okay, that's great. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, I had like one person that was a super fan of the music, and they would be at every show, and they would sing the words back, and that was all I needed. That was everything, and that was you. and you know, that was all I needed. You know, you cared about it.
We had a good time.
We had a hell of a time. We had a hell of a time. You were a groupie. You were a roadie.
Yes.
You were a website mistress.
Yes.
Just
I filmed the show.
To film the show.
Sold the merchandise.
Watched me flirt with people. You were just the whole 9 yards.
Brought you drinks when you were like, I think I need a drink.
Yes. Oh, I just like to ask you for a beer on stage because that's just fun.
You know, I didn't always send the beer.
No.
It wasn't always me.
No.
Like, you'd ask for one and I'd go to get it and you'd already have one.
Yeah, they'd already bring
and I'd
three.
be like, screw it, I ain't buying another one.
Yeah. No, what's because they didn't pay me. They gave me beer.
There you go.
They only did that a couple of times. They realized.
They're like, we're going to lose our ass on this.
Yeah, we better not pay that son of a bitch in beer anymore. So I've got a couple of other stories, you know, just because I was prepared, as you said.
You're prepared.
Prepared instead of paired. So what is paired? Is paired just if I was half-ass ready, or?
I guess you're just ready right at the right time.
Right at the right time.
Not beforehand.
So if I just happened to be ready right when I needed to be ready, I'd be paired.
Yes. Can you be post-paired?
It would post-paired like after the show's over being, oh, I got a great idea. I mean, it's weird, isn't it?
English language is very strange.
It is. When you break it down, it just messes with you really bad. All right. So CVS, the drug chain,
right,
will no longer, I'm sorry, CVS will no longer allow Photoshop in their advertisements or their products, you know, like the CVS house brand, I guess, of beauty aids or whatever.
Oh, they're not going to Photoshop any of their pictures?
No. And yeah, I mean, you know, I'm all about.
I understand the reasoning behind that. I mean, the whole, you know, making young girls not feel like they're inadequate. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean,
but is it good for advertising?
Well, you know, I know the world's changing and I'm changing with it, but okay, look, I mean, it's okay to have pretty girls.
It is.
I mean, and you know what? They're not going to be as pretty
if you don't Photoshop them.
So anyway, I don't think, I personally don't think it has anything to do with a CVS moving forward and the softer, gentler side of CVS and all these movements. I don't think it has anything to do with social justice or anything like that. You know what I think it has to do with?
What?
They're not Walgreens. So Walgreens is the end all be all best drugstore of all time.
Right.
I can walk in a Walgreens and I can find everything I ever wanted. Okay. CVS, you walk in and there's probably somebody dead on the sidewalk and it smells like urine. It smells like 1990s. And I think what happened is they probably can't afford their IT department anymore.
So they just can't afford to Photoshop the thing.
Like they lost Benny, like Benny, their IT guy, like wanted $12 an hour.
They're not even doing professional photo shoots anymore.
Benny got a job with Walmart or something, and they were like scrambling, and this is all they came up with because no one could figure out Photoshop. they probably went through a few people. And
that's funny.
A few pharmacy techs, and finally they were like, you know what, screw it. Let's just say that women should be just as beautiful without.
Let's make it into a campaign.
But here's the thing. If you're selling makeup, is it really, are you really making a statement?
I don't think that it's, it is a problem, the whole image thing, but it's not like kids these days don't know what Photoshop is. Like when I was a kid and I looked at magazines, I had no idea that they doctored those pictures. There wasn't Photoshop or whatever. Yeah. And I feel like kids today Photoshop their own stuff all the time. Like they understand that that's a thing and that happens. Now, maybe not. Maybe I'm totally way off on that.
I don't know.
But
I'm an aesthetics guy. It's never been perfection has never been the same to me as it is to other people. Anyway, I like unique faces. I like, I really like, you know, a unique human bodies. I'm really into just lines and symmetry and all this stuff. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have a bump on your face or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's fine. They can do what they want to with that. It's never been something that, you know, I joke around, but I've never cared about that in the first place. I know better than most that beauty is far deeper than skin.
Well, you know, I saw this article online, and they were showing this picture of like a photoshopped and a not photoshopped of one of their examples of their beauty mark ads or whatever they're calling it. And the pictures were not that different. Like, I think the only photoshopping they did was they took some of her stray, like her hair had some stray pieces sticking out. They took that out, and they, like, you know, it looked like they put a filter on so that her skin looked peachy color. Like, it's not like she was a big fat cow and they slimmed her down to, you know, to nothing. She's pretty anyway.
Well, I mean, I do realize I did marry a hot chick, but it just so happened that she was really sweet and smart and funny. It was just a hot thing was a bonus.
Right.
So I didn't just look for that.
Exactly.
It just so happened that she was that way.
You saw my wittiness from across the bar.
Oh, I did. I was standing at the bar and I was like, I believe that girl is witty.
Look how clever she looks.
I can usually tell by how nice that butt looks in those jeans.
Exactly. And that's direct correlation to wittiness.
It normally is. It normally is. So, and good breeding hips. So I've just found out that the CIA is obviously looking to funnel disinformation through ecstasy or former ecstasy addicts.
Okay.
There's a story that's come out this past week about the DJ Moby from the 90s. Do you remember him?
No, not particularly.
Okay. All right. So do you remember Wednesday nights at our bar back when we were kids? Techno night.
Yeah, where we used to go to that like place next door, and there was the big dance area.
Yeah, and
they did all that weird music.
I would get messed up and go stand in the middle of that non-crowd and take the flashing lights, the strobe lights, and the smoke.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's coming back to me. I think I may have blocked it. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, all that stuff. So that was Moby probably that was playing.
I see.
Big techno guy was the forerunner of all that stuff, of all that jazz. But yeah, God bless Techno Night. See, Techno Night was dollar draft.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was, because they couldn't. You would think I'm still an alcoholic. I've got such fond memories of the alcohol. But yeah,
you're an alcoholic when you're like, dollar drafts.
Yeah. Oh God, it was terrible too.
It was horrible.
Do you remember it was like Schlitz? It was like Schlitz.
It's like someone peed in your glass.
Yeah, it was like Schlitz on tap. Oh no. It was, oh my God, it was Old Milwaukee. It was Old Milwaukee, or Milwaukee's Best.
Oh, it was something horrible.
It was something horrible. It was just horrible. Terrible. Yes. And then they had that leprechaun look at the green stuff, but it was also nasty. God. Oh God, we threw up so much over that.
Anyway, what did Moby do now?
So Moby claimed this past week that the CIA came to him to spread some disinformation about.
Was he trying to tell people that techno music was cool?
He's been spreading that for years. It doesn't matter what he's spreading. It was something political to the effect of the dossier crap. But we don't talk about that kind of stuff here.
Right.
This is a safe zone, the butthurt free zone.
But of course, the CIA would use a celebrity.
Yeah, but why would they use Moby?
CIA is a little out of touch.
Yeah, that just tells me that the guy deciding this stuff in the CIA is that like American Beauty freaking 53-year-old bald guy with the with the Ray-Bans, and he's probably tall, slim.
Probably drives a Jag.
Drives a Jag. A Jag. He drives a Jag. Steals things whenever he walks in hotels. But yeah, he's like, I know what we can do. Let's get Moby, and Moby has the finger on the pulse of the youth. He can spread our lies through techno music.
It's all subliminal advertising. That's all techno music is.
My God, what a story! Wow. And you know what's sad is that's a real story.
Yeah,
that's what's sad. But I'll tell you what's really good is this week's news.
Yes,
because we're in it.
All right, so let's get to the news.
All
right, so the first set of stories that we're going to talk about is all the weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's been going on with the bright lights and mysterious booms and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So this started about a week ago in Russia.
Yes, it did.
And there was this mysterious bright flash and like a ground shaking explosion, and it was felt and seen over thousands of miles.
Thousands.
I mean, just huge.
Thousands of miles.
And a lot of people were scared that there had been some kind of missile strike or something. Like they had no idea what it was. And they still don't have any idea what actually, they come out and say, oh, it was probably something falling to Earth, a meteor, burning up in the universe. But burning up in the universe. Burning up in the atmosphere. But
that sounds like some kind of really cool album title. Have you heard the new album, Burning Up in the Universe?
So they actually came out and said there had not been any kind of Russian missile test because for some reason, every time something happens in Russia, they blame it on those missiles.
Test. Yeah,
some kind of missile test. That's like their swamp gas excuse.
We see the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, it was just a missile test.
It was just that Topol missile. Yeah. It's nothing. So after that happened, a couple days after that happened, then in North Texas, this was on January 10th, there was an exploding noise and a bright light.
Right.
And it was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I think.
Right.
And there's a video for that where you can see, the whole sky just lights up like day.
Right.
And again, they're saying, oh, it was probably just a meteor, that kind of thing. But you didn't actually see it. None of the videos I saw actually saw something falling. You just saw the bright light. Right. And it's funny on this story, the news story that I saw where they were talking about it, the newscaster actually made a joke because they called it a shooting star. Like the little guy at the university was like, oh, you saw a real shooting star? You should have made a wish. And the newscaster made an 11:11 joke. He's like, wow. It's too bad it didn't fall at 11:11. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But supposedly this guy from the University of North Texas, that he claimed the noise was from a sonic boom caused by a meteorite or some sort of space debris falling down. And apparently, he said hundreds of tons of meteors fall every day.
Yeah. Okay.
But we don't always see the lights, apparently. I don't know.
They do, but not normally like what's happened this week. Now, the thing in Russia, let me Johnify this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can look at the video evidence of this, and it did light up all over the place. It made the nighttime day. For thousands of miles, guys, think about that for a second. Thousands freaking miles. The ground shook, okay, and there was this huge explosion. Okay, so North Texas, again, something similar. The North Texas one would not be as strange. We wouldn't even be mentioning the North Texas one if it were not for the two on either end of it.
Right.
So it ends up, we thought Russia was going to be the weird one.
Right.
And then this one happened.
Okay. So then on this past Tuesday night, there was a meteor streak in Michigan.
Right.
Over Michigan. And it was, now the videos I saw on this, you could actually see something coming in to the atmosphere that made the bright light and did the explosion and all that. So it was caught on video. The Geological Survey claimed that it made a 2.0 magnitude earthquake on the instruments.
Which is just insane.
Yeah, like that a meteor burning up in the atmosphere can cause an earthquake that you can actually register. That's just craziness. So if that isn't just strange enough, on the same night as the Michigan one, we were actually sitting around talking about all these weird things that were going on. And this is where our YouTube video comes in and the stuff that we put on Facebook. We were talking about the Russia and the North Texas and the Michigan things that were happening. And, you know, because we were going to talk about it on the show. And all of a sudden we heard the loudest noise outside. It was crazy. It was actually sky trumpets.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody who's listened to the show ever, you know, going back 8 years, if you listen to Haunted South, you listen to Third Side, you listen to this show. I have a couple of things I'm really hardcore about. Stacey has a few things she's really hardcore about. One of the things we are hardcore about is the mysterious booms / sky trumpets.
Yes.
Okay. Phenomenon. It's the same deal, folks. It's a different thing, but it's always around the same place, same thing, same weirdness. You know, I see some people talking online earlier about this, and they were like, well, possibly, you know, other planets make sounds and the ionosphere and all this stuff. And they went through this whole thing. And I was like, yeah, Junior, but the whole problem with that is the Earth he was like, maybe the Earth's talking. I was like, well, the only problem is the Earth didn't have a damn thing to say until about 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if the Earth's talking now, it's because we're stepping on its tail. But that's not it. No. Okay. So I'm going to describe this to you guys. But first, I'm actually going to digress a little and go back to the Michigan deal. The Michigan deal is insanity. There's a lot of different stories floating around about this. If you look into it deep, there's some people that seen the notorious red tractor beam looking thing. There's other people that seen a fire on the ground and reports of touchdown, reports of this impact and all this stuff. This all happening together, folks, in the same week is pretty intense, especially with some of the other news that's going on in the world. Yeah. But it's very weird. Now, the sky trumpets, those things they always sound the same. And so my family, even my daughter Ariana, you know, she even understands what sky trumpets are because I spent 2 hours educating her and showing her videos that she was very interested in. Her mother was asleep, and you know, this was me like educating her, and she watched it all. She's like, that's really eerie. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's Daddy's favorite thing because it's such a mystery as to what's going on and what's causing these and the mysterious booms. And this was weeks ago. And I was like, but the thing is, you know, it's always sounds the same, but there's always that little doubt in your mind until it happens to you. And I told her, I was like, I really want it to happen. Right. And she's like, yeah. So it was kind of funny. Last night, fast forward to what Stacey's talking about and what you guys could see on youtube.com/paranormal sideshow. Yes. Is we were sitting there, and here's the thing. I started telling the girls about 30 minutes before then. I just went nuts, and I was like, look, something, I was talking about the Michigan thing. The Michigan thing had just happened. Right. I was like, guys, look, 10 minutes ago, this meteor hit in Michigan. Something don't feel right about it. Right. And I said, we just had a thing in Russia, and we honestly had a different lead story for the podcast. And we're always gathering news, and we usually the day before, we go into a room and we hammer out what our stories may or may not be. I bring some to the table. Stacey keeps some for surprise, as you guys know. And we try to, you know, get our show ready. Right. So some reason we waited. And so anyway, I was like, you know, hey, this is now our lead story. We have to talk about this because there's 3 of them. And I was going crazy. I mean, I was really going crazy. I was jumping around in the kitchen. I couldn't stand it. I got very agitated, not in a bad way, not agitated like mad, but very excitable. And we came back upstairs, and I just told him, I was like, I feel like we need to go outside. You did say that. And I was like, I feel like something's going to happen. And I kept telling him that, and I was getting that feeling. And I knew I needed to go outside. Right. So a few minutes later, just a few minutes later, we start hearing these. Yeah, and we heard them in the house, even though they were outside. Yeah, yeah. So instantly, my family knew exactly what the hell it was. It was like a drill. Yeah, we all knew what it was. One of them hit the lights. The other one got the camera. I opened the window and we started recording. You know, and we did miss the first couple, I will say.
Right, but you got some really good ones.
Got some really good ones on camera, on audio for your listening pleasure. And we did put that up on YouTube last night. I went outside and it was around 10 degrees.
It's very cold.
And we still were hearing grumblings. We didn't leave all that in there because there were some really faint things. But I will tell you, there's some strange. It was exactly what you hear. If you look up sky trumpets and you watch those videos and then you hear what I heard last night in Augusta, Maine, you're going to hear the same thing. Now, I have chronicled that less than a year ago, Augusta, Maine had a mysterious boom explosion that many people heard.
That one actually made the news. Now, this did not make the news because I checked today. And also because it's me, I called the city of Augusta. And I just asked the Department of Transportation if they had any kind of work going on, like, because sometimes they do road work at night. And so I just called and I was like, you know, I'm just curious if there's any road work or any construction or anything going on, just in case, you know, just to rule that out. And the lady on the phone told me that there wasn't anything going on. And I explained to her why I was asking, that, you know, we had heard this really loud noise and we weren't sure what it was. And it was kind of close to our house. And so I was just calling to check and see, you know, just to see if that's what it was. And she said, no. She said, but they were scraping the roads. Maybe you just heard them scraping the ice off the roads, as though that's not something that you hear every single day in Maine. I was like, no, I don't think that's what it was. But thank you anyway.
No, right. Yeah. And I mean, it was, we know what it was.
Yes.
It was sky trumpets. I hate that phrase. I wish I could find the person that came up with it and slap them and have them call it something else.
Yes.
Just because I always pictured the Monty Python animation and like the little angel butts coming down with trumpets blowing out the butt.
That's funny.
But guys, there's something going on. And
there is.
You know, hey, going to bring the room down a little bit. There's something going on. And I tell you, it's kind of weird because for about 2 months now, every time it's 1:11, 11:11, 3:33, most of the time it's 11:11 or 1:11 for me. And it's not the fact that it's in my peripheral vision. My body don't have no stupid internal clock. I don't ever know when it's nighttime or daytime. It's my body's not that smart, nor does it want to be. There's something going on because I see 1:11 and I see 11:11, and that's the only times I ever check the damn time, ever. And this is not a one-time thing or a two-time thing or a three-time thing or an attention-grabbing thing. If it wasn't happening, I wouldn't talk about it. But guys, I'm telling you that every time the clock hits 11:11 or 1:11, it's at least going to happen to me once a day, at least once a day, probably twice a day. And I'm not a clock checker. This is I wonder what time it is. Oh, it's 1:11. Oh, it's 11:11.
You've gotten Ariana doing it now because she got me the other night and she was like, Mama, look at the time. And I looked and it was 11:11. Well,
and then the thing from there, not that I'm connecting all these things, but I'm connecting all these things. You know, the back to what is the sky trumpets, you know, I've talked about how it sounds like if we had two realities sliding against one another, that to me would be what it would sound like. And it's amazing sounding. It's so weird sounding. And then you go to it being like CERN and lining up when the Large Hadron Collider, you know.
Right.
I don't know, man. Just atmospheric stuff like that. Very strange. This one, go check out the YouTube video, youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow, or go to paranormalsideshow.com and check it out. Check out our video. Watch it, listen to it for yourself, and then go listen to other sky trumpet videos. That's what I encourage you to do.
Yes, and compare the sounds. All right, well, let's move on with some of our other news.
By the way, if that happened because some aliens listened to the show or some government agency wanted to finally give me a birthday present, thank you. And yes, I enjoyed it. And yes, you can do it again. And follow it with some mysterious booms that shake my house. Maybe a bright flashing light would be great. Bright flashing light would be kind of cool. A mass bird kill. No.
Shame on you. No.
Of course I was kidding. Of course I was kidding. I don't want anything like that. Jesus. No.
All right, let's move on. All right, so this next story, it falls under the conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Headline there. Right. And this is the one.
As if everything else we just talked about did not.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is the one about the false alarm ballistic missile threat.
Everything with you is a Friends episode. This is the one about the ballistic missile threat. Sorry.
The false alarm.
The false alarm.
In Hawaii.
The false flag.
Where they sent out an alert to everyone's mobile phones but everybody was
so stoned in Hawaii they didn't even realize.
Told them to seek immediate shelter from a ballistic missile threat, and that it was not a drill.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrifying. Mm-hmm. It was the push notification.
Yes, and it actually took the emergency officials 38 minutes to send a new alert to tell people that it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It is. It takes a while for that stuff to wear off. No, I mean, it's nuts. It's bananas. Who cares how long it took them to tell it was a false alarm? I mean, as soon as you see it, you have already crapped your pants at that point.
Exactly. You're already in your shelter. Yeah. You know, you've locked yourself in.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is it's horrible. And,
it is.
And it could have killed people. I don't know if it did, but it would not have surprised me. You know what, man? That kind of stuff can end your life just from the fear or just imagine what you went through with your children at that point.
Oh, I know.
You're thinking they're coming in and you're going to pull your kids in and it's horrible. It's horrible. But if that wasn't bad enough.
There was also a false alarm in Japan as well. Like the next
same week.
Yes, the same week. A couple days later. But the one in Hawaii, the explanation for it said that the alert was sent after a shift change. And when the new team came in, they were doing the checklist and somebody pushed the wrong button. That was their explanation.
Damn it, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. And so now the state of Hawaii is planning to put new procedures in place where it actually takes 2 people to send the alert instead of 1. So
I don't know
if that's a good idea, because then it's going to take longer to get the alert out if there really is
it's a good idea at this
missile
point.
Test bed.
You got to do something. I mean, there's got to be some kind of damage control at this point.
So a couple days later, it happened in Japan.
Yeah.
And they accidentally sent a missile launch, like a North Korean missile launch warning. But they actually corrected their mistake in a couple of minutes.
They're more efficient. Yeah.
Yes, they were very efficient. They were like, we're sorry.
If it was German engineering, it would have been instantaneously right back.
Their message did not say that this is not a drill. And they did actually, only take a couple minutes to correct it. So it was less damaging than the one in Hawaii. But it's very strange that the same thing happened in 2 locations.
Yeah.
Within a couple days of each other.
Japan's was like, not again. I mean, it's just terrible. It's and by the way, let me tell anybody listening around the world. I know Kim Jong's probably a big fan, and
of course,
and everybody, do not bomb Japan. Okay, I don't want you to bomb anywhere.
Right.
I really do not want anybody ever hurt, and it's terrible. But don't bomb Japan, please. Please, I really love Japan, and I haven't been there yet, and I really want to go to Japan. So
avoid the Tokyo Dome at all costs.
Yes, no Tokyo Dome bombage, and I want to go to some of these Shintai temples, and I want to just go some really cool places. And I can't be able to do that if you blow it up. Blow up a desert.
There you go.
With nobody in it.
There you go. That's an idea.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to play for toys, let's try bombing the moon and see if it's hollow. I mean,
see if it's really there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. So this is kind of just an update. So we'll just go through this really quick. This is an update on the fast radio bursts. Do you remember us talking about that?
I do, but quickly.
A while back. So the fast radio bursts, they've been recording them and studying them. They don't really know where they come from or how they're formed or anything like that. So this is a new study where they have realized that the fast radio bursts have such a strong magnetic field that there's 2 possibilities, that they're either very close proximity to a massive black hole, or they're within a powerful nebula.
Supermassive black hole.
Exactly. And they've been able to detect them at a higher frequency and realize that they release a monstrous amount of energy, like more than what our sun releases.
Wow.
I mean, they're crazy. So
they're like the ADD of radio bursts.
I guess so. So they're still studying them.
There's nebulas like, we can't do anything with him.
And the really interesting...
He just keeps running around the house and jumping on the damn couch. My auntie won't even keep him anymore.
So the really interesting part of this story is that the University of California in Berkeley, though doing the study, actually said that they can't rule out completely the ET hypothesis. So they're not saying that they're not being sent by...
They're not saying...
They're not saying they are. Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't blame Milo.
They're not saying they are, but they're not saying that they're not. So they're still studying them. But I just wanted to bring that little update up. So here's another space story. You're going to love this one.
I love Space Odysseys.
So this is a recent story where they have discovered huge underground sheets of ice on Mars.
Oh.
Yes.
Dude, that's big. Oh, dude, that big.
So they just revealed their findings.
That wasn't supposed to sound quite as racist as it came out. I was trying to do...
I was just kind of glossing over it.
No, I was trying to do like the cartoon. Like, that was not supposed to sound... That was not supposed to sound so... yeah, I don't even know.
Okay, it's okay. I'm sure nobody will blame you.
Well, yeah.
All right, so...
I didn't know where that voice came from.
So it says in this article that although scientists have previously known that there was ice on Mars, they didn't realize that it was in such large sheets.
Yeah, screw those guys. Those guys were telling me 15 years ago that there was no water.
Right.
There was no anything.
Well, apparently this is like pure water too.
Oh yeah.
So they're saying
that right there is a rover going there just to get ice chunks to bring back and bottled water.
Yeah, Mars water. Oh my God, it'd be so expensive.
Can you imagine how much people would? I mean, you could charge $10,000 a bottle, and like there would be these rich dudes, the same dudes that traded out their teenage blood.
See, that's how the zombie apocalypse starts, because you get some kind of weird infection from the weird Mars water.
It's at least a Doctor Who episode.
Exactly. So they've actually found about 8 different locations where this ice is poking out of the surface, so that in the future, when there are astronauts, and there's astronauts on Mars, or if they're trying to colonize Mars or whatever, that they could actually take a bucket and a shovel and go dig it, put it in there, and have drinking water. So, very cool find. It's really awesome, and I'm looking forward to more of that.
I mean, now you can have long-term civilizations on Mars.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can. I mean, just because of that find, and it's like Mars giveth. You know,
exactly.
Please come here, and dude, that's fantastic. Do you have the story? I hate to jump ahead. Do you have the story about the rover going to Mars?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah. I always group my stories.
Oh, of course you do. I didn't know if you saw this one. This was one that I seen, was just right down my alley and made my pokers hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the new Mars rover, it's called the Mars 2020 rover mission, that they are working on right now. When they send this new rover to Mars, one of its missions is going to be to seek for signs of habitable conditions, but also signs of past life on Mars. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to take samples, like you said, of the ground. It's going to core them out. The only thing is I don't think that they're going to have a way to get those. Basically, it's going to core out samples and leave them on the surface of Mars to be picked up and brought back at a later time, because they are planning on going to Mars. But I'll put a link up for the mission page for this, because it's really interesting to read everything they're wanting to do and their timeline and things like that. It says the mission is timed for launch in July or August of 2020, because that's when Earth and Mars are the closest together in their orbits. Wow. That way it cuts down travel time. You know, it's quicker to get to Mars.
Sorry, it's just the whole dig it thing. It just got me. I had to get the little Macho Man in there. That's what we're going to go there to do, folks. We're going to dig it. And I wish every time it did that our little rover would go, oh, yeah, dig it. Maybe that would just be worth it. So here's what's going on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have pure high quality H2O up in Bobby Boucher country, up in Mars. And we have a rover going to check for signs of ancient civilizations.
And to see about if there's habitable conditions so that people can live and work there.
Well, they're sending people there anyway. So I kind of wish they had done that one way before
Right.
I think it's two separate people.
But I feel like the whole looking for they're saying past microbial life, but they're up there looking for the Sphinx on Mars.
Well, they know it's there. I mean, it's obvious when you look at Mars that there used to be flourishing life there. It just seems like the whole hypothesis is correct about why we have, a bunch of chunks of a planet floating around in the asteroid belt. Right. It just seems like something happened and we are now, here.
Right. Like maybe long time ago, we lived there.
Yeah.
And, screwed it up like we're doing here.
Yeah. Or something happened.
We moved here.
There was a collision.
Yeah. Or something.
It just seems that way. And I do think that you would find actual pyramids, just like the Egyptian pyramids on Mars. I think you'll find those on the moons of Mars. I think you will find those on our moon, at least covered up with space rocks and dust and stuff. And I believe that everything you find in ancient Egypt is much older than what they think and what they say. I think that basically we had some pharaohs or whatever just sort of claim it or find them in the desert and build other things around them. It's truly because if you look at stuff in Egypt, the more recent it is, the worse the construction is. And that doesn't make sense.
Right. No, it doesn't.
They always build on top, and it's like the older you find stuff, it's always done better. Right. All these super ancient pyramids around the world are just impossible to build, Impossible. Right. Today, it would be too much of an undertaking.
Just the fact that we can't figure out how they did it.
I mean, and it's so beautiful.
Amazing.
It's so beautiful. I mean, I get it in some ways, but in other ways, it's just, I don't know. We just need to be more realistic about this stuff. And if we do know that this stuff is out there, I appreciate the slow disclosure we're having. And God, it seems like they're really trying to push stuff out on us. But just tell us. Yeah. Just tell us. Yeah. We're going to be okay with it. At this point, you can't do much more to us than you've done the last couple of years. At this point, we're just going to be like, okay.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. Right?
Yeah. Just rip it off. It's fine. Just let us know something.
Well, sort of on the same space theme story, I'm just going to mention this one because it's something that was found years ago, but they've just done this new study on it, and it's really interesting. So this story is about the Hypatia stone. And what this is this stone that was discovered in December 1996 by an Egyptian geologist who was actually researching Libyan desert glass.
Oh, yeah, that's my jam.
They were picking up the pieces of the desert glass, and they found this stone that's similar to the sea glass, but he could tell immediately that it was not the same thing. Right. So they've been studying it for years and years. So in 2013, they came out and said that it was definitely not from Earth. That it was not formed here. So by 2015, after they had done more research on it, they announced that it was not part of any known types of meteorite or comet. Like all of the minerals in it and all the levels were weird. Like it's very, very strange.
Holy cow. So it's not even like normal meteorites that hit the Earth.
No, it's like something totally different. So they've done this new study now where they've been looking at it with, better equipment and things like that. Right. And the study that they just came out with has actually said that it suggests that the surviving fragment is actually older than our solar system. Like it was either existed before our solar system was formed or that it formed at the same time. That's how old it is.
Well, that means it's much older than our solar system. They just don't want to say it.
Yeah, probably. So they figured that it just accidentally got captured by Earth's gravity millions of years later, that it was much bigger than it is now. And it fell, it broke up. And this guy just happened to find this piece.
Or it's a piece of the atomic weapon that turned the
there you go,
desert
all the
to
desert
glass.
into glass. Exactly. There you go.
It's a shard of that weapon, and there's more there.
Yes. Well, I thought this was really interesting because I had not ever heard of this before, and since they had this new study, I kind of looked back on it and checked into it. So.
Well, yeah,
cool.
I mean, there's tons of coolness about it. I mean, the Libyan glass. I mean, any of those deserts with the glass, that, we know how hot you have to get to. So that's just mind boggling. It really is. The very fact, and see, now this is not the lead story tonight on CNN.
Right.
But hey, there's something here that we've had for a while, but we've just discovered that it's not like anything else that we've ever had on this planet, even coming from space. When they, of course, 400 million megatons of rocks apparently drop a night.
Right, exactly.
And none of those are like this.
Exactly.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I thought this is kind of just buried down in,
oh, by the way, we've dated this.
News.
We've dated this, and this is older than everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So there was no creation, but then there was this. This is what created it.
And just because they have advanced scanning techniques, they've figured all this out now. So, and of course, they're baffled.
Of course they're baffled.
They are baffled.
Yeah, the machines are probably baffled.
Well, one more story about meteorites, and then we'll get off the meteorites.
Jesus.
So this is the one about the Great Pyramid Void, the one we talked about recently that they discovered.
The pyramid's called Void?
No, the void in the Great Pyramid.
Oh, the void in the Great Pyramid.
The scan pyramid study.
I was trying to rack my brain on the Great Pyramid Void.
It's a new pyramid. You've never heard of it. So someone has come out and said that this void may contain a mysterious throne carved from a meteorite that is described in the ancient pyramid texts. Now, I would like to point out that they don't have any evidence whatsoever to suggest that this is actually in the void.
So
they've just said that they believe, because of these texts, that they allude to
the Iron Throne is there?
That alludes to a throne of iron on which the pharaoh, Khufu, would sit before he could pass the gates of the sky.
Right.
And so they feel like this throne could sit at the void's upper end because that would be aligned exactly underneath the pyramid's apex. And it does say there's no proof that the void contains or doesn't contain such a throne, but...
Hold on a second. Did they find a sarcophagus finally? No?
No. But they did say that if this imaginary throne does exist and it is in there, that it would be made from the iron from meteorites because that's what Egyptians use. Like, in fact, they did have King Tut's dagger. I remember we did that story.
Yeah, it was
that
really cool.
is made from meteorites. Yeah.
But damn, that's a lot of meteorites to make a throne.
It is. And it's a lot of speculation to say that that's probably in there when you don't have any idea if that's actually in there. I would think that if you scanned a pyramid and found a void, wouldn't you be able to scan enough to see?
Well, I'll tell you, it wouldn't be the first thing that popped in my mind. If I'm scanning and I find a void, the first thing's probably not meteorite chair.
No, I know. I don't think I would go there either.
I might be like, well, we might find a chalice.
It does say throne of iron. It could be made of swords.
Yeah, that's the joke I was making.
Yes.
It was, no, I mean, that's nuts. But the thing about it, and I hope these bastards are listening, there's not a damn thing those Egyptologists tell us that's the truth.
No,
they're worse than NASA.
Yeah,
they're like old school NASA. And
it's like they want to be in the news, but they don't really want to tell you what's going on.
It's like here we found this, but you actually found that 400 years ago, and now you've completely pilfered all the magic and knowledge out of it.
Right, and now you're just going to show us what's left.
Yeah, they're going to show us, and we're going to be like, ooh, they have to be telling us the truth. It's on the news. And it's like,
Lord,
I mean, it's just stupid. It's like the Sphinx has water damage. I'm not even going to argue about it anymore. Look at the damn thing. There's water damage. There's water erosion on the Sphinx, which dates it to more like 12, 13,000 BC. It's ridiculous. And, you know, just go look up the work of Robert Schoch. And that's what you need to do. Go buy some books, read. I actually own books that have words and pagers and read it and find out, or go to bleed in Egypt as soon as they won't, you know, behead you and check it out. I'm waiting for the all clear on that. So
yes, exactly. All right. Well,
makes me mad.
Let's move on. So here's a story that I found that was actually in the Sun. And sometimes I try to avoid stories
in the Sun
that end up in the Sun.
Yeah, it'll hurt your eyes.
But not that Sun.
Gotcha.
But this one was really interesting. So I wanted to bring it up and talk about it. So this is about the Rendlesham Forest incident. And I know we've had stories about this over and over, but this one's a little different.
Okay.
So there was a man that was making a documentary about the Rendlesham Forest incident. His name is Gary Heselton.
Right.
Okay. And so he's released this video clip that his wife took in 2010. Now, while he was making this documentary, which has not been released, by the way, it never did get released, he was teaming up with a man named Charles Halt, who was actually like the head guy. Yes. So him and Halt were actually walking through Rendlesham Forest, and he was showing him where things happened, you know, and this video is a video that his wife took in between takes for the documentary. So as they're walking, you can hear them talking. And so Halt actually is talking about the two men that went into the forest, Peniston and Burroughs, that actually witnessed the craft.
Right.
And so he's talking about it, and he actually says in this little clip that Burroughs may have been abducted, who knows, and that there was lost time, and both of those men were unaccounted for hours.
Oh, wow.
Hours. And so whenever the Sun was talking to Gary Heselton about this clip, he actually said that, you know, his wife had took the video and that he, you know, they were talking about that. So then they approached Charles Halt about the video, and Charles Halt said that he didn't make that comment, that he didn't say anybody had been abducted. He just acknowledged that something happened and that there was some missing time, but he never said anybody was possibly abducted. But you can clearly hear it in the video clip that that's what he said. Like he just said, you know, they could have been abducted. Who knows? They were gone for hours and nobody could find them.
Right.
So it's an interesting little thing. And the only reason that Gary Heselton put the clip out was because his documentary is not made, but he wanted people to have all the people that researched it and stuff. He wanted them to have all the information they could possibly have. Yeah. So he says. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. It's definitely something that was rumored, but nobody's ever gone on record to say that happened. Even Charles Halt in his official statement didn't say anything about the lost time or anything like that.
Stiff upper lip and all that.
Right. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. I'll link to it. There is the clip you can watch, and there's a transcript of it, but you can hear him saying, you know, about the abduction.
Yeah, that's. I was just pondering on why, with all the other amazing, fantastical things they talked about, why wouldn't they throw that in?
I don't know. He basically just said that he doesn't play because when
you go with the fact of it had these hieroglyphs on it, and all I've seen since is ones and zeros. I think you could probably say that somebody got abducted for a couple hours without people thinking any more.
Right. I mean, and they don't know. I'm not saying that it happened, but he just said that he may have been abducted. Who knows? He says, I don't play that up. Like he admitted that he didn't play that angle up on it, that they don't really talk about that.
Well, you don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, you never know. It could have happened, maybe not.
Missing time, man.
It's definitely a weird incident.
It really is. It really is.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Let's.
So this next story is one you're really going to like.
Oh, yeah?
It's about your favorite guy, the 2017 Man of the Year. Yes. Mad Mike Hughes.
Yes. He's making a run for 2018 already.
He is. So I love it having stories from this guy.
You, Mad Mike.
He's so good for news. So he has decided that his rocket launch is back on.
Yes.
Yay. So he has planned it for Super Bowl weekend.
Oh, groovy.
He's going to rival the Super Bowl.
It'll probably get better ratings.
So what happened was he didn't get to do his rocket launch, the first time, because after all the publicity, the Bureau of Land Management was like, no, you're not going to do that. So apparently that's no longer the case. He is talking about how he's doing it in the same place, Amboy, California.
Yeah.
And he found some private land with a new road that'll enable him to get his motorhome and his rocket gear to the site, and everything should be a go.
Right.
And he said that it's a vertical launch.
Yes.
He's going to be strapped into a rocket with 6,000 pounds of thrust going up about 3/8 of a mile.
Right.
And he said that it's a prologue to a major launch this 4th of July weekend.
Oh, man.
That must be the one we were talking about.
Oh, he's going to have it wrapped up.
I think it's funny. One of the comments he made in his interview was that it's the ultimate Wile E. Coyote move.
Oh, there you go. He listens to the show.
There you go, because you called him Wile E. Coyote.
What's up, man, Mike? We're going to bring you on the show, buddy.
Yes.
Just tweet us.
So
with your technical knowledge, I know you have the tweeter.
So in this article, during this interview, he also said he plans to run for governor of California once he's able to file the petitions in late February. So he's running for governor.
Well, he should
California.
Win it. Yeah.
And
we've already had a turn.
He did actually say that someone set up a fake website pretending to be him.
Oh.
And that his website had been hacked and it was redirecting people to the wrong place. But not to worry. It's on. Things should go according to plan. February 3rd, 3 p.m.
Wow.
So there you go. There you go.
That's awesome. I love it. February 3rd. It's not even that far away.
No. And he seems to think that he's going to have more viewers than the Super Bowl.
Well, I just said, yeah, absolutely.
So there you go.
It depends on who gets in there. If it's Minnesota and I mean, you never know.
You never know.
The Jaguars in Minnesota, I dare say, will not be a very high watch Super Bowl.
Well, if
that's what happens.
The article is with the Philly voice.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was like,
yeah. Maybe Philadelphia, New England.
All right. 2 more stories real quick. These are kind of funny. The first one is it's another story about a big chunk of ice falling on a house.
Oh, my God.
Only this time it was a mysterious yellow ice.
Oh. Wow.
So this woman has lived in this home, and she does live near an airport, but she's lived there for 41 years and nothing has ever happened. And all of a sudden she heard this big loud boom and she found ice. She had yellow ice on her roof. And the ice broke apart. It cracked her ceiling.
Oh, wow. That's a major piss.
And she said when they put the pieces together, it was like a 5 to 6 foot piece of ice. It was huge. And she kept a sample of it in her garage freezer.
Did she?
To be analyzed.
Awesome.
And so they're trying to tell her that the FAA says that it's probably not from a plane because the planes are de-iced.
Well, that's not good.
But they don't know what it is. Nobody can tell her what that nasty yellow ice is.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it seems like an uptick for ice falling on people and houses and things.
Well, mysterious yellow ice especially.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, do you think it's UFO? I mean, they have to pee, right?
I don't know. Do they?
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
You think you could be evolved enough to just like regenerate your own urine so you don't have to pee it out?
How cool would it be to have UFO pee?
She might have some in her garage.
That's what I'm saying.
Freezer.
Oh my God.
Oh no, somebody's going to go steal that from her now.
Can you imagine what that smells like? You talk about astringent.
Ew. Yeah, it's probably terrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell with them. I mean, they got to be vegetarians, I would think.
I would think so.
It always smells worse when it's a vegetarian.
Little tiny mouths. You wouldn't think they could take big bites of steak.
No, it'd just be straws for them and like V8s.
All right.
That's really crazy though.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, the yellow ice thing is just. I
mean, never ever a story about that. And then the last couple months, ice everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So last story. This one I thought was really interesting. It's some odd animal behavior. Don't worry, it's not monkeys.
No.
So this
I wish it was monkeys.
It's about Australian hawks.
Well, there you go. You could have just left me at Australian.
So these hawks are caught starting fires to force their prey into wide open faces. Now, that's what the headline says. But as I read the article, I get the idea that they're just spreading the fire. Like they don't actually get a little rock and like knock it together and, you know, throw some brush in it and
wear leather jackets with have little heart tattoos.
But, you know, it's very dry and the brush will catch on fire. So what'll happen is there's a couple of different kind of species of hawks.
Hey, Billy, see, this is how we're going to do it, buddy. You get that brush over there, see? We're going to set this here on fire, and we'll get these cats running our way. That's right, baby doll.
Is that how hawks talk?
That is. Hawks are cool characters, especially Australian hawks, because they just walk around going, good day.
Australian hawks, they'll kill you.
They're like, good day. Good day. Would you like a Vegemite sandwich?
No.
I don't roll that way, son. Teach their own. But yeah, no, that's crazy. Australia, everything will kill you.
Yes.
Everything.
So the men that did this paper, they just recently published it, have actually tracked down 20 more examples of this behavior where the birds will actually take a burning twig and spread the fire around to flush the prey out so they can catch it easier.
Well, they're smart and scary and terrifying.
And one of the co-authors on the paper was a firefighter in the 80s, and he claims that he actually extinguished 7 separate fires that he watched a bird light. And he had to just sort of stand there and put the fires out. And they've never actually caught the behavior on film, but they're going to try and do that this year. Like they're going to try and actually catch this behavior on film. And they don't even know if this is a behavior that goes past Australia. Like this might just be very localized.
I can already tell you.
Yeah.
You want to save your money there, Australia? The behavior's just yours. I love you, everyone. It's
amazing how animals learn to do things like that.
Well, it is. But as we've chronicled many times, Australia is a very dangerous place to live. Now, we have thousands of listeners from Australia, and our little map lights up pretty bright for Australia.
It does.
And I love each and every one of you, and you know, not as much on this show as I used to joke on the third side about the dangers and death-defying things in Australia, the snake pits and what have you.
Apparently now if the hawks find out you have a hamster, they'll burn your house down
to
get it to come out.
But everything is dangerous. It's just...
it's funny.
I think as soon as Apple gives up the ghost and quits ruining my day and makes a kangaroo emoji, that everything will start smoothing out.
Didn't there used to be a kangaroo emoji?
Mandela.
It must be. I remember us using the kangaroo emoji.
No, I don't think there's ever been a kangaroo emoji.
I don't guess so, but I thought I remembered one.
There's an emoji for a Finnish man who has spray tan too much.
But there's not a kangaroo.
But there's not a kangaroo emoji. I just don't get it. There's several different ones of other animals that you don't need that many. Like you don't need. Now monkeys, you should have a whole page.
Right.
Be a whole page of monkeys. But there's some that you just don't need, man. There should be a hand gesture doing the shocker. There's not one of those. Sometimes I would just like to send you the shocker, you know?
Oh,
it says so much with just a picture.
I remember when Ari first started texting, she would send us emojis, and she sent me one time. It was supposed to be a finger pointing at me, but she accidentally sent the middle finger. And I was like, what?
That's great. That's great.
She had no idea what she had done. It was very cute.
Oh. Well, is that it for your news?
That is all of my news.
Well,
yes.
There you go with some crazy week, man. All right. Well, that was some nutrageous, crazy stuff, man.
Yes, it was.
Australian Firehawks. This sounds like a name of a hockey team. Do they have hockey in Australia?
You know,
they would.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know they do. They have so many freaking Yanks move there. I mean,
maybe it's like field hockey and not ice hockey. It's hot there, right?
Yeah, it's hot. But I mean, you don't want to play field hockey out there. You get some pyromania hogs burning you to death, or some freaking black mamba racers, or some 30-foot crocodiles, or some of those damn Australian spiders, or some. I mean, really. It's crazy. There's a lot of danger there.
There is.
There's a lot of dangerous things. Like I always talk about wanting to move to New Zealand.
Right.
As one of the places. I don't think I do. It's too damn close. It's, Iceland's still right up there for me. I think Japan's top of my list. I think it is. You're going to get a volcano eventually. You're going to be hit by a tsunami. It's going to happen.
I want to go to Ireland.
You have ballistic missiles. Ireland would be great. Yes. It's a good climate. There's not a whole lot of crazy. I'm good with Ireland.
Yes. I want to go see those cliffs.
Yeah.
Those really pretty ones.
Yeah. I'm sure you would like to stand right on the side. I know you well enough to
at the top and look over.
All right. Well, that was some really crazy news this week, and I still can't believe we heard the Sky Trumpets.
No, I know. Very crazy.
Really
Make sure and go check that out on YouTube or on our Facebook, our website.
Yeah, I do want to say, guys, I've been talking about it every week, but it's really doing my heart a good number. Having all the messages, having through the email, through the website, through the Facebook, through the Twitter, we're seeing it everywhere, and we respond to it. And like I said, you never know. It's a mixed bag of goodies. You don't know if you're going to get John or Stacey. But
and if you send a message and we haven't responded yet, we'll get to it.
Oh yeah,
I promise.
We get a lot of messages, and we really put a lot of time and thought into answering them. And sometimes we get some good correspondence going and have a lot of fun and, share some ideas and all that good stuff. We love each and every one of you. And we really appreciate you sharing the show, telling others about it. It's one of those things where it's a grassroots effort, and you guys are the ones growing it. You guys are absolutely the show, and really appreciate it. We're actually looking to put out a few T-shirts coming up, just to have some fun with some of the sayings that, that's Stacey. She says some silly things. So we're looking to put out a few T-shirts and stuff, and just for the fun of it. But I do want to say, ParanormalSideshow.com, that's your address to go out, find out everything shilling. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow, shill away. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. There's not much shill there going. Instagram, Hot Shillin' Damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. On the YouTube /Paranormal Sideshow. That's where you can go find this really cool video about sky trumpets blowing out your butt. And we are available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play. However you listen, that's where we're playing our sky trumpets. For my lovely, bodacious, beautiful, sexy, awesome, pretty-eyed with a weird mark in her eye from where she was killed as a witch in her previous life.
That's a lot of information.
Wife Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.